Molly, thank you so much for joining us here at SuperReturn International. Great to see you, and I guess really great news for you to see ESG and climate high on the agenda here.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to see. I mean, I think there's a ton of interest and a lot of validation in why and how we need to spend our time and effort in this space.
So how and why is what I'm going to ask you about, because ESG has been a phrase that's been used for several years, but that is slightly shifting now towards perhaps private equity certainly looking at impact rather than just sort of mitigating risk.
Yeah, I think when we think directly about climate change, and this is really an existential crisis that we're facing right now, we need a lot of solutions and a lot of money going towards this space. Only a fraction of the dollars that are needed to help address climate change are currently there. And I see this opportunity really existing across all asset classes, but I'm really excited by where venture and growth can help drive the transformation here.
So what sort of companies are you looking at that do align with what you've just spoken about?
Yeah, we see a lot of technology enablement really driving transformation in the space. So when you think about productivity and the way we work and how we've been able to transform those with technologies, we need to bring those applications into solving for climate and global warming. So we think about electrification and automation. So automation can help us solve the labor pain points that we see so much in things like farming practices, in recycling, and those also have greater benefits as well to how we address climate change and how we practice farming better and how we do things more efficiently.
So it's finding value but having real world impact too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So who are the best leaders in terms of people that you're looking to as both within those companies you're investing in but also in the private equity world that are doing this well?
Yeah, we like to think that Wellington's been a really good leader, particularly on the public side, as we approach and think about both ESG and impact. There's a great community as it relates to growing interest in private equity and impact. We really believe that this is a non-concessionary space, and we're given the size of the problem and the size of the opportunity and the pace at which we need to drive investment, we will see an outsized return. And so we really look to this ecosystem and saying all of us should be driving towards high impact, high return types of opportunities.
Because the narrative has changed so much, hasn't it, in terms of this actually being really super good for your bottom line as well?
Yeah, it is interesting, especially this connotation around impact. It's really evolved over the past, call it, handful of decades into what that means, and this idea of double bottom line or non-concessionary impact. This is where I think the market is headed and where investors are coming to realize that so much opportunity exists.
And do you find that you're able to attract better talent to your companies if your companies are talking about having this purpose too? Because there is a bit of a talent deficit in the investment world at the moment. Perhaps this is something that young people particularly are looking for more in terms of where they work, that purpose, if you like. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we see that both in our own recruitment as well as the portfolio companies and the companies that we look and admire and aspire to partner with. So having that mission and that focus around impact is definitely a talent magnet.
And we're obviously living in a very tricky environment economically and geopolitically at the moment. How does that sort of sit with trying to push these new ideas? Is it a difficult environment, or actually are these sort of dislocations good when you're pushing new ideas?
Yeah, we actually think, as difficult as the current environment is and the Ukraine war and seeing inflationary prices, this has really wakened the consumer up and governments up to the fact that we've got a lot of meaningful risk as it relates to energy security and food security. And it's reshaping how we think about transitioning those, perhaps accelerating them and identifying new technologies. So while we are mindful of the challenges ahead, we think there's a lot of great opportunity for solutions.
So if somebody's to chat to you here, there's 3,000 people from your industry here this week. What message do you hope they take away from having spoken to you this week?
I think there's an incredible opportunity to go solve for climate change. The need is now. The opportunity to do that in venture is really exciting when we think about technology enablement and the ability to transform these massive sectors in and for the better and for profit.
Molly, thank you so much for joining us. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.